Europe to miss 2030 climate goal by 21 years at current pace, study.
Here's a summary of the article.
Steam and other emissions rise from a power station in Berlin on February 2, 2012. CERNOBBIO, Italy, September 4. Europe will miss a key climate target for cutting greenhouse gas emissions by more than 20 years unless it picks up the pace on energy transition measures and improves governance, a study involving Europe's biggest utility Enel said. At the current pace, Europe will only reach its 2030 target for a 55% reduction in greenhouse gases in 2051, a study by Enel Foundation and the European House Ambrosetti said. In July, Brussels unveiled a raft of ambitious measures in its Fit for 55 package aimed at putting the European Union on track to meet the 2030 goal of reducing emissions by 55% from 1990 levels. The study, presented on Saturday, said investments of around €3.6 trillion were needed across the bloc to reach 2030 goals, with a potential cumulative impact on the EU's economic growth of more than €8 trillion. He said at the current pace Europe would only reach its 2030 target of raising the share of renewable energy to 40% of final consumption in 2043. To speed up the process, the study called for closer cooperation between member states on energy transition, adopting a regional approach to help boost market integration.
This post received a score of 3,000, with an upvote ratio of 96%. Here are the top comments in response to this article.
It seems pretty clear that we are just going to keep on keeping on.
We should be taking names at this point. There are people responsible who did nothing.
Yes. In Germany, as in every other democracy, those people are generally known as the voters.
Yeah, but no. Even parties with that platform have not done anything. So vote for the party with worse or no platform for climate change? Money and power trumps all that, and there's just too much money in the status quo, i.e., oil, etc.
Our politicians do not give a shit. Germany is lagging so badly it's making the underlying corruption painfully obvious. But with the Generation 60++ in the majority, we're just 2 weeks away from re-electing the same Muppets again. When RWE and Co. says jump, they ask how high. I don't know what else is needed for a political table flip.
Replacing nukes with coal plants was a stroke of idiocy.
Greater than replacing nukes with coal plants was a stroke of idiocy that they then go on to replace the coal in those plants with pelletized clear-cut forests and claim it's zero emission.
As if burning dead plants wasn't enough, they decide to burn living stuff too and call it green. The green movement is just as bad for the climate as the climate change deniers.
TBF, burning living stuff is greener than burning fossils, since biomass is entirely within the carbon cycle. Wood fires are carbon neutral, it's just that wood is a limited resource and not something we can base a civilization on.
It's not greener if you consider biodiversity to be important. Once a forest is cut, it takes decades, if not centuries, for the local ecosystem to recover.
It's almost like focusing on both economic growth and reduction of emissions at the same time is difficult to pull off with existing technology.
It's not just difficult, it's impossible. Reducing CO2 emissions requires a complete stop to our perpetual growth mentality.
Which is why it won't stop. You're asking people to end capitalism, and they're not going to do it until we're well past the point of no return. Hell, even then they won't do it. But that doesn't mean we still shouldn't try. And it doesn't mean we can't make the people who want to burn this planet to the ground fight tooth and fucking nail for it.
Greater than which is why it won't stop. You're asking people to end capitalism, and they're not going to do it until we're well past the point of no return. Hell, even then they won't do it. Indeed, it's totally possible to maintain capitalism system and cut the emissions simultaneously, and the ruling class have been preparing for it. Their strategy is simply doing nothing, and let catastrophes cull the poor while maintain the money flow, just like their pandemic response.
This video was automatically created by Reddit to speech. The article and comments in this video were selected from Reddit according to their upvotes, and any paraphrasing was performed by smmry.com, without any human intervention.